has taken over.
Let's go.
It's Ferrall.
Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
Our Trace of Coast to Coast. Good to have you with us. I'm Ferrall with Carver High in New York. I just saw a disturbing video of John Harbaugh dancing in the locker room after their win over the Texans on Saturday. I just don't want to see that at all. So give me some news on his brother instead.
Yeah, let's give you news on his brother instead, Scotty. Of course, Jim has been running around trying to decide if he's going to stay at Michigan or come to the NFL, come back to the NFL, of course, after winning a national championship with the Wolverines. He's going to have a second interview with the Los Angeles Chargers coming up this week. So when you get to that second interview, usually things are cooking. We saw Belichick have the second interview with the Falcons over the weekend as well, Scotty. So it's out there now. I mean, what is he going to do? How many times are we going to interview before we make a decision? You know the Chargers probably want him. Question is, does he want to go, Scotty? I would guess at this point with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't even consider it, frankly, an interview. I mean, I consider it an ability to try to cut a deal. I think it comes down to money and terms and contracts and years and power and what control he's going to get of the Los Angeles Chargers. And he's also got another meeting allegedly with the Falcons. I said earlier, you heard that there might be issues for Belichick down there with some of the people that run the team, namely McKay. But none of that's been proven that he has issues with anybody. But I cannot fathom that he went down there and didn't get a deal. You go down there a second time to do a deal. Harbaugh goes to L.A. to do a deal. He doesn't go out there to stay in a hotel near the airport. He goes out there to do a deal. And that's what Don Yee's supposed to do for him. And I guarantee it's not about asking questions like you were a 18-year-old kid coming out of, high school looking for a job or something. I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't believe in, I really don't. I don't buy into that second interview nonsense. This is deal time.
Yeah, and I guess it's also part of, the way things work now, right? Because you're seeing they're making these teams now interview like 96 guys so that you make sure that you comply with the Rooney Rule. And then you have to bring back
then
another 5 guys for a second interview. We welcome in all of our radio affiliates coast to coast on a Monday, Sirius XM 159 Sports Byline. They bring all these guys in now for a second interview. And now this week you're actually allowed to in-person interview assistants from other teams, which I think is stupid, Scotty, because you're an assistant with the Lions or the Niners or the Ravens. Or you really want your coach here on Monday as you're getting ready for your biggest game of the year, Sunday, to do these interviews? Make it next week when they're off.
No.
Why didn't you let him interview these guys this week? It's beyond stupid.
Yeah, I won't even exasperate anything else on that. That's automatic. You're right.
You're right about Belichick. If they had him in town, they should have did it. Maybe he's sniffing around waiting for something bigger. Would you be surprised if he's not coaching any team next year? Would you be surprised if Bill has no job next year?
No, what I would really be surprised at is what we talked about earlier. That really set the table, didn't it? I would love...
Juicy.
That's a Baconator. That's the Baconator. If he steals Sean McDermott's job in Buffalo, that would rock the AFC East like it hasn't been rocked since Tom Brady left. Bottom line, nothing changes ever until Brady left, and we're all like, thank God. Can you imagine if this guy gets whacked? Basically, he got whacked. No one wants to say it, but the marriage ended, and now, can you imagine if he went down the street to Buffalo? Honestly, let's just get real. McDermott didn't get it done. He never got it done. How many chances are you going to give him? And would you rather have a guy that went to 9 Super Bowls have a crack at it for 4 more years at his age? I'd say he'd do 4 years. And then you get Allen from 27 to 31. And I mean to tell you that there it is. That's like having Tom Brady. It really is. And I believe Belichick would win, and McDermott couldn't win with him. That's all I have to say. One guy will win with him. The other one didn't.
They've gone. It's just they've gone as far as they can go.
That's it.
With this guy, and they really need to sit down this week. And this isn't something that's going to happen today. This is going to be like, remember when the season ended?
It should happen today.
Right, but you remember the season ended and it took like 3 days for Vrabel to go and 4 days for Bill to go. Like, there's going to be a lot of sitting around over the next 48 hours for the Pagulas and whoever else makes the decisions over there.
Why wait?
At one
How about call him up and go like this? Listen, I don't want anyone to know this, but would you want to coach the Bills? Because I'll give you whatever you want and power.
Bingo.
And if he said yes, go, thanks, I'll be right back with you. Hold on a second. Put him on hold. Sean, listen, come here, buddy. You're fired. Click. All right, I'll fly you in tomorrow. We'll do the deal. Thanks so much, Bill. Click. That would be it.
You send the feeler out. Hey, Bill, if our job were open, would you be willing? Because I don't think you can fire him without knowing that. I think it has to be for somebody. Because it has to be for somebody like Belichick. I'm not firing Sean McDermott for some offensive coordinator of another team or something like that. I'm firing Sean McDermott if I'm bringing Bill Belichick, or I'm bringing,
I know what to do.
Something like that.
Send Frank Castle, the Punisher, to go find Bill and to quietly keep everyone's mouth shut and find out within 10 seconds, will you take over the Bills' full control, and anyone that talks will be shot dead, and then they'll go fire Sean. Send in the Punisher, Frank Castle. He'll do it.
That's what you got to do. All right, here's the rest of the roundup for you. It sounds like Sirianni is safe in Philadelphia because, Scotty, they are going to have their end-of-season meeting with the media on Wednesday. So that's now been scheduled. It's been a week and a half. He's going to stay, but he's going to have to make changes on that staff. Defensive coordinator Sean Desai is out. Now, he got scrapped of the job anyway, and they threw Patricia in the last few weeks of the season. So he was going to be out anyway. They are going to interview not Riverboat Ron Rivera to be the defensive coordinator in Philadelphia, which is interesting. Of course, he's been a head coach for a very long time now.
It'd be the same thing as Jack Del Rio getting recycled, and that never worked either. I'm done with, honestly, like, you gotta pick up some kind of other muscles for dinner. I mean, this guy, it's over. And then I think some young, great coordinator on the up is what you go with, not some old washed guy that kept losing. It's over for him. I don't buy that. And they'll probably do it. I don't think it's the right move.
The Bears, of course, there was talks over the weekend that maybe they were going to hire Cliff Kingsbury out of USC with the Caleb Williams connection. That did not happen. They took Seahawks offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. They take him from there. He's now the offensive coordinator in Chicago for your boy Eberflus. And
I'll take Cliff in Pittsburgh.
Chip Kelly drawing interest as a potential offensive coordinator in the NFL. Head coach UCLA or offensive coordinator in the NFL, Scotty? What do you like better?
I think he's better off at UCLA.
I do too. Probably a little bit, less money, probably more security, but keep you in the head. You're a college head coach.
He really doesn't even do a good job there.
No.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I can see why people would bet Boston at minus about 45. But I think the two of them are so exciting and so talented and so awesome. I went with and made the bet of the over 6.5.
There are issues with football character. Always doing the right thing, being in the right spot, being highly coachable. Why do they continue to fail in the big moments? It's football character, Ferrall. It's not a talent issue. That has nothing to do with it.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks, backup
Ferrall
quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live. Prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
information. Then like the 2.5. Jumped on it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I've been telling Carver High to he's got to set little Willie up with a BetMGM account, and he's 2. And I'm like, I don't care. They'll never know. Just add a 1 to his license, because if you do it and you put $5 in there and start the account, you're going to get $158. And he's like, I can't get involved in that kind of corruption. But I was like, did you know that if you use the SG158, they're just going to, you give them 5, they give you 158. It's like the craziest thing ever. I'd have my, little boy do it. I'd have a little girl do it, and she'd suddenly be 24, and the little boy's 2. He's now 21 and just started a betting problem in his life. That's what I'd go for. The SG158, the big game 5-8 promotion they got going right now. I'd go to my neighbors. I'd have their dog sign up. Just change the dog years. You could probably get him over 21 easy. Download the BetMGM app on iOS or Android, betmgm.com. Sign up, deposit $5 in your new account, bet $5 at standard odds. Once you place a bet, you're going to get $158 instantaneously, regardless of the outcome of your wager. You're going to love it. I do want to reiterate that Carver High got involved in no illegalities.
None. Absolutely zero. I was involved with. Zero whatsoever. Willie's got some time, clearly, before he can get involved with the big game 58 promotion. How about some NBA for you here on a Monday to start the week on Coast to Coast? What'd you think of the Nets piking down the stretch yesterday in Los Angeles? And you know what? They beat the Lakers on Friday night, Sky. They beat their ass, the Lakers, late night Friday night at the Staples. They come back, or the crypto, dollar in the jar. They come back. They have the big lead against the Clips. And then they get outscored 41-15 in the fourth quarter. 22-0 run by the Clippers to end the game. Nice effort by Brooklyn.
So I was doing the football game yesterday, the Bucs Lions, and I'm like, right in the middle of it, I was like, hey, the Nets are blowing out the Clippers right now. And then later in the broadcast, I went, I think the Nets just lost by giving up 41 points in the fourth quarter. And then the guy on the producer was like, just stick to the football. I was like, I'm like, people bet on these games like, just stick to the football. Don't talk about how bad the Nets are. We don't have time To the Lions. I was like, I got you, bro. That's how bad
Stick
it
with the
was. It was
Lion
the worst
game.
job ever. I mean,
They got
honestly.
this just awful job by them. Magic beat the Heat 105-87. Nuggets beat the Wizards. Joker, Scotty, 42-12 for the Joker in that game. Celtics beat the Rockets 116-107. The Zinger had 32. And then I saw the Zinger's out tonight, by the way, against Dallas. So no Zinger. You know, he's another guy, Scott. He plays one night. He can't play 2 nights in a row anymore. But I guess if you want to keep him healthy, that's what you have to do.
May not be the dumbest thing in the world. I'll tell you what, when he plays, he can knock down deep threes, and he blocks shots, alter shots, and gets rebounds. I don't care what anybody says. When that guy plays, generally, he produces. I still like his game, and he can shoot outside deep.
He certainly can, no doubt about that. Next for you, Suns beat the Pacers 117-110.
What a bet!
Durant had 40. What was the number in that game? What were the Suns?
It was 5. I had to win by 5. I laid 4.5. It went to 5.5, something like that. They win by 7, and they were down. They were up like 10. They were down 3. And this is all with a minute left, and they won by 7. It was a bunch of like a 3 and a couple fouls and a couple and like a steal at the end by Booker, and then he got whacked, and he made the free throws, and they covered. It was unbelievable. I bet a bunch of money on the Suns last night, laying that 4.5 and hit it.
Also, what's Durant's problem now? He wants to know why he's not included in any of the GOAT debates. Like, what is he talking about? He wants to be mentioned with, like, Jordan and LeBron? Like, he thinks he should be at that level? What's his deal?
He just wants everyone to recognize him as one of the greatest players ever. And the thing is that I think people already do consider him, one of the greatest players ever. And, some people would say top 50. Some people would say top 25, some top 10, some top 5. But he's in that conversation always. And the fact that he, never seems satisfied with how much people talk about his game being so badass that they're not talking about him being one of the greatest players ever, it obviously bothers him. Whenever anyone says anything bad about him on social media, he starts getting in social media fights. Like, he's really weird about his, frankly, his juice and fame. Like, we already know you're a badass. We already know you can drop 40. We already know you got rings and MVPs. We already know all that. Like, bro, do we really have to go through this again with you? Like, honestly, he's gotten painful in his old age, like, that he wants us to be talking about him good at all times. Or if you say something bad about him, he calls you all kinds of names on social media and goes after you. Like, I don't like his act. You already know he's a stone cold killer. The guy can, he's the Grim Reaper. The guy's, Slim Reaper can score on anybody, any day, anywhere. But like I said, in the playoffs, when he puts the ball on the deck, he's a turnover machine.
Certainly is. And the Lakers beat the Blazers 134-110. Your boy D'Lo's been hot. He had 34 for the Lakers, as they're just trying to get him out of town, right? He's had all these big games lately, and he's in like every deal that they talk about now is, it's going to have Russell in it, and they're going to have this. And so good luck to them. Trae Young is in concussion protocol. He's going to be out, Scotty, for a while. You don't get too many of those in the NBA, but we do have one there with Trae Young. All the best to him.
Now they can't trade Murray. Their point guard's out.
Right, and that's a big deal. And they can't wait to get rid of Murray. That is just a hot name here. They can't wait to send that guy packing. The Spurs, let's start with the Bucks tonight, Scotty. They are in Detroit against the Pistons. Pistons, of course, 4-38 this year. They suck. Bucks minus 12.5 on the road. 247.5 is the total in this one. I know Giannis has been out here and there, Scotty, but he is probable tonight. Looks like he will be out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, they just beat him by 6, so I still feel they should win the game and cover by 12 or more. I really do. I think they took the night off the other night and barely beat them, and the Pistons covered. And if the Bucks try, if they go out and execute and play their game, they should annihilate the Pistons by 12 or more.
The Cavs are in Orlando tonight against the Magic. Cavs minus 2.5, 215.5. is the total in this one.
Yeah, so I bet the Cavs this morning, right? And I got them at -1 this morning. You see how the lines moved? I think the Cavs have been playing great ball lately. I've been cashing tickets with them on FerrallOnTheBench.com. So I'm riding them again, and I got a better price.
The Spurs in Philadelphia against the Sixers tonight. Wembanyama is in, Scotty. Of course, we always have to check with him. -13.5 for the Sixers, 236.5 is the total.
Well, you know what? With that guy playing, why not take a shot with him with the big piece of 13.5? I think the Spurs are awful, but he isn't, and he's going up against JoJo tonight, and it's no problem for JoJo with it, as big and heavy as he is against that toothpick. But I'm telling you what, it don't matter because that kid is quicker than Embiid, and he can get space, and he can shoot over anybody, including that slow, fat-ass JoJo. Don't tell me he's not. That kid's faster than a slinky. So I'll take a shot with him because I think Philly will take them as lightly as a root beer float.
We'll fit one more in here and do the rest after the break. The Grizzlies are in Toronto against the Raptors. Raptors -7.5, 226.5 is the total.
I bet the Raptors this morning, and I know I got them at a better price than that. I think even almost either 2 points better than that.
We'll come back. I got a few more NBA and then hockey and college racket tonight as well.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams, and in the first half I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game, and I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I can see why people would bet Boston at -145, but I think the two of them are so exciting and so talented and so awesome. I went with and made the bet of the over 6.5.
There are issues with football characters. Always doing the right thing, being in the right spot, being highly coachable. Why do they continue to fail in the big moments? It's football character, Ferrall. It's not a talent issue. That has nothing to do with it.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
You have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
In the bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
competitive.
Night.
We waited for a 1.5. We got paid
We
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So, Mike, that Toronto game, I did get it at 7. It was the Cavs game that was the 2-point swing because it's 2.5. I got it at 1 this morning at minus $1.10. So that was the game that was 2. Toronto was just a hook shorter than that 7.5 that you showed it at. I got Toronto minus 7, and I bet it.
All right, there you go. We do have 4 other games tonight. Let's roll. The Hornets are in Minnesota against the T-Wolves. T-Wolves, of course, have been great, 30-12 on the year, minus 12.5, 220.5 to total. Edwards is questionable, Scotty. They have him down with an illness, so he's got the sniffles. We'll see if he's be out there tonight for the T-Wolves.
Yeah, he's not playing. It doesn't matter. If he's not playing, then you think, I got to go with the Hornets. No, if the entire team had pneumonia and didn't play, they'd still cover. Because whenever I got to go the other way because he's not playing, it happens every time. I want nothing to do with that game. I did not bet it, but I'd still stay on him.
The Celtics are in Dallas against the Mavericks. Celtics minus 2.5, 239.5 to total. No zinger for Boston. Looks like everyone of significance is good to go for the Mavericks side of things, including Luka.
So I bet it. I took 3.5 with Dallas, and I did it because Boston's had a brutal schedule. They played yesterday, had a tough game with Houston, and then had to travel there to play this team with Luka and Kyrie Irving. And I think that 4 days off for Dallas. Friday they were supposed to play, but the Warriors game, because the guy died, the assistant, that was the end of that. They haven't played. This will be 4 full days off. I like the Mavericks in 3.5 tonight. No zinger and rest. I'll take a rested team every time in the NBA, especially when you got 2 guards like those 2.
Makes a lot of sense to me. The Bulls are in Phoenix against the Suns. Suns minus 5.5, 226.5 is the total. No Levine for the Bulls guy. He's going to be out for a little while with the ankle. Everybody looks like they're in for the Suns, even with the back-to-back last night.
So last night it was so close with Indy, with the Suns. I think it took a lot out of them to finish them off and then to have to play this team tonight. I think, and no Levine. So their star players not playing. That's why I'm jumping on the Bulls with the points. I think it might, between now and then, even go to 6. You could probably get it at 6. If not, I still like 5.5. I think they stay in the game. It's hard, I think, back-to-back in that fourth quarter to finish them up. They could barely beat Indy on their home floor. Now you got to face DeMar DeRozan and Vooch and Cody White. I think that they have a shot to cover. It's worth a little sprinkle.
And finally, late night, the Hawks are in Sacramento against the Kings. No Ice Tray, as we said, out with the concussion protocol, minus 8.5 for the Kings, 238.5 the total.
I bet the Kings at 8, and I'm very worried because no Ice Tray, no chance means they'll probably win.
Yeah, well, listen, we do this
Murray
all the time
will have 40.
here. Big star out, big line because they're playing backups, and sure enough, they end up covering. And also think of it from this side. The Kings have not exactly been blowing everyone away lately, Scotty. The Kings have had a lot of spots where you think they're going to show up and play big, and they don't get it done. So I can lean with you with the Hawks here with the 8.5. There you go. There's your night in the NBA. How about hockey?
Everybody loves hockey.
Now, everybody does love hockey, and I'll tell you, before we'll get into last night's games and tonight, but the story of the weekend was clearly a coaching change, and we've had quite a few in the NHL already this season. The Islanders chopped Lane Lambert out. This was on Saturday afternoon, and Patrick Waugh, the surprise out of nowhere hire for the Islanders, ended in their first game with them last night, Scotty. They beat the Stars, who were very good, 3-2 at the horse track in overtime. So a nice start to the Patrick Waugh regime.
Yeah, I know that they all loved Lambert on with Trotz or whatever. When they gave him that job, you remember, I was like, what are they doing? I'm not interested in that at all. I cannot believe they got rid of Barry Trotz for Lane Lambert. I have seen it all. But I am convinced, without provocation, no doubt, I believe in Waugh. I know he can coach. I know players respond to him. I know that when he went to the Quebec Juniors, he not only coached, he ran teams. He owned them. And he made them champions, kids. he can really coach. I think, and I said this earlier on the show, earlier in his career, he was so, first of all, he was one of the cockiest players ever in the league, and he deserved to be. He was the best, and he won a bunch of cups. And then I think that people thought he was painful when he was a coach, and players like, who does this guy think he is? And I think over the years, now he's 58. I think all that is gone, and he realizes he just wants to purely coach, and he doesn't need all this fandom about his career and cups and goalie and all this other stuff and his reputation. I think he purely wants to coach now. I believe his second time around with the Islanders will be massively successful.
Yeah, and look, I think there's also probably something to be said, and you'll learn from some of the mistakes you made the first time, right? He got that Avalanche job, not right when he retired, but relatively after he stopped playing.
Right.
And you make some mistakes, you get whacked, you spend a long time in the juniors, and you probably say to yourself that whole entire time, well, I'm going to do this differently when I get back to the big time, when I do this differently. So I think he's going to learn from those mistakes. He's got a good opportunity out here with the Islanders out at the horse track, and they're 2 points back in the playoffs. I mean, that East is so tight, Scott. You can have a good 2 weeks, and they'll be, second in the Metro, where they were 2 weeks ago. So it doesn't take long to move up and down the standings there.
I think he's look. I won't deny that there's some good coaches in the East that are doing well, and Tortorella, and
Torts has done a good job. We give him the business, but he's done a good job there.
The Rangers have a good coach. There's teams that have, and I still think Sullivan's a good coach. But I'm telling you, and the Bruins, same thing. They got good coaching. I think that this guy can really, really make a difference. I thought Trotz could have won him a cup, and then they fired him, which was, I think, moronic. I think this guy, he's won a lot of cups. He knows how to do it, and he's intense, and players respect that. If you were a guy that did it and you just push them to be great, I think they actually like that, being pushed to be great. They don't like being cocky. They don't like being like, you're not as good as I was. They like someone that makes them mad and pushes them.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see that. I think it's going to be a good fit.
Al Arbor did it.
Yep, he did. And I think it's going to be a really good fit for the Islanders. And I think that they'll make the playoffs now because of it. Senators did beat the Flyers 5-3, even though, Tortorella has done a nice job, but the Flyers finally lost the game. The Wild beat Carolina 5-2. Wings beat Tampa 2-1. Rangers had a big third period out at the Duck Pond to beat Anaheim last night, 5-2. They've been on that long West Coast trip. And the Leafs won in Seattle 3-1. The Oilers officially signed Corey Perry, Scotty. So you remember, let go from the Blackhawks a couple months ago, early in the season. Now grabs on with Edmonton. He talked to the commissioner, apparently, and all is good in the world of Corey Perry.
He almost drank his way out of the league and was being crazy. But let's look at the facts. Now, this is the second, felon that they brought on. Evander Kane was a bad guy, and Corey Perry, everyone thinks, is a bad guy because he partied. And but the bottom line is that he's also a guy that knows how to win Stanley Cups, and he also knows how to score big goals when it matters in playoff games. I think adding that guy, as long as he's not boozing out, if he's just playing hockey with Kane and with McDavid and Draisaitl, honestly, that's another guy. He's a guy he's that older dude that's going to score goals in the playoffs. I mean, honestly, it's true.
No doubt. He absolutely will. He's one of those guys. He has a knack for the big goals. And even though they have those two massive stars, they've needed somebody who's been through the battles. Somebody who's been through the battles, somebody who's gotten there to the end and understand what it's about. So let's see if that pays off for them. All right, how about tonight? Let's start it. If we don't finish it, we'll do it after the break. The Jets are in Boston. Good one. The Jets have been unbelievable this year. 30-10-4 as they head into Boston tonight. Bruins -145, plus $1.20 now for the Jets, 5.5 the total.
Everybody's saying it's going to be a under with that 5.5 because of these
Yeah.
two goalies. So let's see if it hits. I didn't bet it, but I think there's a chance it could stay under. With a number that low, you see 6.5 every night, not 5.5.
Usually not. No question there. All right, next, the Knights are in town for the week, Scotty. Of course, they will do the New York area trifecta. It starts tonight at the Rock against the Devils. Tomorrow night, they'll be at the Horse Track against the Islanders. Devils minus 120 here. Even money for the Knights, flat 6 the total.
I bet them minus $1.20 this morning, the Devils. They traveled out here, long road trip. I could see them on a business trip doing well, but let's see if the Devils can beat them at home.
Usually the first game when you're in town for this whole entire week, it's a struggle, and then you kind of pick it up the second and third game, depending on who you play. So I'm with you. I could see the Devils taking care of business tonight. The Panthers are in Nashville against the Predators. Panthers road favorites minus 125, plus 105 for the Preds, flat 6 the total.
Yeah, I bet it under 6 goals at minus $1.10. It was 6.5 at, I think, like $1.15, $1.20. So I went with the 6, under the 6.
We'll come back. I've got 3 more hockey games, including the Penguins are at the College Rink tonight out in Arizona. And then I got loads of college rack for you tonight, too.
Let's go.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I can see why people would bet Boston at minus $1.45, but I think the two of them are so exciting and so talented and so awesome. I went with and made the bet of the over 6.5.
There are issues with football character. Always doing the right thing, being in the right spot, being highly coachable. Why do they continue to fail in the big moments? It's football character, Ferrall. It's not a talent issue. That has nothing to do with it.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman
The
Trophy
early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Ferrall
backup quarterback.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they need.
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports
That
Rage
was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So, Mike, I got that Florida-Nashville game in the Bridgestone at under 6 at minus $1.06 this morning. And then I got this Penguins-Arizona game in Tempe at a good price, too. I did a total in that one of under, and I got that at minus $1.05 on BetMGM this morning. So, obviously, the Penguins are big favorites out there. I haven't the foggiest idea why. They're playing no better than the Arizona Coyotes, right? Like, honestly, the Penguins lose every night. They lost to the night. I'm not going to be surprised at all they lose tonight. You don't know what you're getting with that team. Are you going to get 4 or 5 goals? Or are you going to get 1 goal? You never know what you're going to get with them.
This is actually now stretched out to minus 155. It was minus 140 this morning, now minus 155.
No way am I laying that.
Get the Desert Dogs at plus $1.25 on home ice on the money line, where they've been pretty good this year. That total is still a flat 6, as you mentioned earlier, minus 110 both ways for that. The Blackhawks are in Vancouver against the Canucks. You talk about heavy lumber, Scotty. How about minus 450? How does that get you going for the Canucks tonight? Blackhawks are plus 350. Total's a flat 6.
So, well, first of all, by the way, Arizona has more wins than the Penguins. Let's be clear. And then Vancouver's going to kick Chicago's ass. Without Bedard, they suck. I want no part. I'm not doing any kind of stupid betting over here, laying 4 and 5 bills on a hockey game. That's called divorce where I come from.
This one also has a pretty significant number from the heavy hitter department. The Kings are minus 375 against the Sharks tonight. The Sharks are plus 290. This total's a flat 6. You know, I get it with Vancouver, Scotty. They've been really good for a long time now. The Kings have been very spotty lately. I mean, I know the Sharks suck, but the Kings haven't been playing well enough.
Take a goal and a half, plus 130.
In fact, I'm fine with that. Let's do the 1.5 at 130. I'll even do a small Happy Meal bet on the Sharks plus the 290
3 to 1
in LA to win the game outright. I'll take a little small just for them to win outright. I'll put it with something tonight because the Kings just haven't been playing good enough to justify those numbers as far as I'm concerned.
I'm with you.
Probably win. But we'll safety net that 1.5 with the Sharks as well there, just in case they lose in overtime or something silly like that. There you go, your hockey
Everybody
for tonight.
loves hockey.
How about college rack now after a very big weekend? I know you loved this, and I thought of it too as soon as I saw it late on Saturday night. For the Pitt kids to go into Duke and beat the Blue Devils, it was 80-76, and then jumping up on the scores table and giving the business to the Cameron Crazies over there, all the student section.
It was great.
I thought that was awesome that the Pitt kids went and did that.
Not only that, they covered 13.5, and then they win the game outright, and then their star player who had, I think, 22, 25 in a game, he jumped up on that scores table and gave him the business, and then the rest of them stood underneath him waving, bye-bye, good night, have a good night, have a good night, good to see you. That was awesome.
Yeah, we always love when that happens to Duke. That's perfectly fine.
I hate Duke.
No court storming. I mean, at least, the poor girl Clark at Ohio State, when they got upset, she got basically hit by a linebacker coming across the court. She got trucked. What a tough scene that was. West Virginia did upset Kansas 91-85. UConn beat Nova, Scotty, but they did not cover 66-65. Ended up being a close game at the end, a 1-pointer. A 3 overtime classic on Saturday afternoon between Creighton and Seton Hall.
It was fixed. Honestly,
it was.
I
Here
did
we
that.
go.
So listen. I was on right after the game. I watched the whole game. Mafia. I was texting with Mafia during the game. I thought the refs in that game were horrible. I mean, I thought the call of the shove on the game-winning layup in the second overtime was so egregious. No one touched the guy. No one was in 3 feet of the guy, and they called a shove on the winning layup. I mean, and I swear to God, Coach was there, and I texted him. I said, I literally, for the first time in my life, saw a road team in a Big East game get 95% of the calls. I couldn't believe it. Like, they shafted Seton Hall in that game like no other. And I mean, I have no bones in this, but they got shafted. Seton Hall won that game 3 or 4 times. At least 3 or 4 times they won the game. And then they lost by 3. Guy hits a bomb 3 at the end, and they still don't cover because it was 2 on a hook. That game was fixed, and they're not ranked, and they're 6-2 in the Big East. They should be 7-1. They got screwed. And then this coach for Creighton, McDermott, he was snapping on the refs. Meanwhile, he got every effing call in the game, and then the one call that they gave to Seton Hall on the 3 ball, the kid made all 3 free throws. By the way, that guard number 2. He made the 3 free throws and made a deep 3, but every other shot he took was stupid and flat and bunk and off, and I thought he cost him the game. Richmond was the guy with a triple-double, should have had the ball the whole game in his hands, and everybody else tried to be a hero and a ball hog. Seton Hall should have won the game 3 times.
Texas beat Baylor 75-73, and a bad week for Memphis. They lost to South Florida earlier in the week. And then they lose to Tulane yesterday. So a tough week for Memphis in that one. Here we go. We start to get into now the best and the worst against the spread in college basketball, Scotty. We've played enough games now where it's time to start getting this involved. Minnesota 15-3 against the number. Monmouth, Cal State, Northridge, South Carolina, and Illinois, the best teams against the spread. Who's been the worst? Southeast Missouri, Pacific, Detroit, Missouri, Middle Tennessee State. There you go. The best and the worst against the spread.
Listen, lately, don't go near Northridge. It was the 30-year anniversary of the quake last week. They haven't covered since. They fell through the fault line, and Illinois covered yesterday. And, I've already lost money on South Carolina, so I don't trust them either, to be honest with you. And all the ones on the right side, don't go near them either. You'll get warts.
You get warts. And then the best over and under so far this year. Fairfield, the Stags out there in Fairfield, Connecticut in the MAC, the most overs in college basketball this year, 15-4. Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas, Iowa, and USC are on that list. The best under teams, Dartmouth, Western Illinois, USF, Houston, Notre Dame, and Vanderbilt, the most unders.
Well, look, USC to me is terrible. Arkansas has not been playing good basketball. I think they have been terrible even in Fayetteville. The only team right there that I would be interested in a tournament run is Kentucky. They got studs on that team and a great coach. Like always, they're going to be in it.
They are always in it, that's for sure. All right, let's get to tonight. Not a huge slate. I'll give you the 2 heavy games, and then I've even got a mid-major board for you for tonight. Wake Forest visits North Carolina, the early ACC game, -7.5 the Heels right now. And Kansas, Scotty, who, let's be fair, I mean, they've been a little spotty the last couple weeks as well. They are 8.5-point favorites at home against Cincinnati.
Coming off the loss in Morgantown to come home to Fog Allen, I would be very nervous if I were Cincinnati. I don't see them having another bad game tonight. I think they'll cover and get all the calls like they always do. And I think North Carolina will cover that piece against Wake. I think the Heels are back in business in Chapel Hill. As past years, they've always been great. They got another good team this year. You may not have watched them. I've watched them. They can play. And the other day they were in trouble in Chestnut Hill. They still found a way to win and cover. And I think that they'll do it again tonight against Wake.
And let me get you the mid-major board. How about a little Patriot League for you tonight? How about Lehigh and Colgate getting together? We go to the Colonial. Hofstra and Stony Brook. Yes, getting together out on the island. We have Weber State and Montana, Idaho State and Montana State. Little Big Sky for you late night as well.
Listen, I bet on 3 of these games, and I took Stony Brook and the 4.5 that it was at this morning at home. That's going to be a scene there against Hofstra, making your boy Sammy Cheers, Malone, Yarnell nervous. And then I bet on Montana at home in Missoula. to cover, and I did the daily double. Montana State and Bozeman at home to cover the 4.5 spot. So, like yesterday, Lions, Red Wings, give me Montana and Montana State. Missoula and Bozeman rocking tonight, Carver High.
Yes, there you go. Of course, lots of college basketball tomorrow. Heavy slate of games on a Tuesday night to get to. Stanford women's coach Tara Vanderveer breaks Coach K's record for most wins in college basketball. Another record for Tara Vanderveer out there in Palo Alto. The golf yesterday, I know you saw this because it was such a big story. Amateur Nikki Dunlap, yes, Scotty, a sophomore at Alabama, was on the Alabama golf team, wins the Amex out at La Quinta and beat down, held off some heavies there yesterday in that back nine to win it. He's the first amateur to win a PGA event since Mickelson 33 years ago. How about that?
I think that they should, because he doesn't get any money. I think they should give. I think that's bullshit. I think that they should give the money to the kid for a trust fund or to his family or to a charity of his choosing. The fact that guy beat all of those pros, that little kid in diapers beat the pros, somehow, some way, they should just give him the money. That is ridiculous to me. You know what? It's funny. So you're telling me they'll pay college football players to pick their noses and chick and guys, college hoops, making millions, and a kid wins a PGA event and he doesn't get a penny? I mean, what do they give him, a sleeve of golf balls? It's embarrassing.
Here's what he does get. Now, he does not get the check, the 1.3. He doesn't get that. He now has a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour. He gets to play at the Masters. And if he turns pro, which there's some back and forth as to whether he's going to do that, he's now eligible for all those fat $20 million signature events because he won this tournament, whether he got paid in this one or not. So he's got some decisions to make. This could open the door for a lot of money for this kid, Scotty, but he goes to Augusta also, no matter what this year.
Always take the money.
Always take the money. Why go back and play at Alabama when you can go and play at all these big events coming up? He could go play at Pebble Beach in 3 weeks for $20 million purse and go and play in it. So why not? San Jose State has hired former Navy coach Kenny Niumatalolo. Remember, he was at Navy forever, Scotty, your boy.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach. He is a good coach. And the kids continue to flock away from Tuscaloosa. Former number 1 quarterback Peru, Julian Sayin, is going to go to Ohio State now. Leaves Alabama, going to Ohio State. The top
Downs went there too, the corner.
Yes. Yep, they're losing them all. So Kalen DeBoer's got some work to do, Scotty, now being there in Tuscaloosa. Needs to keep some players in-house.
And then it makes Ohio State better, which makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, we don't need that. Nobody wants that.
I mean, honestly, I hate them too.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I really thought the Lions were going to blow out the Rams. And in the first half, I was like, all right, I got one right here on this one. And then the Lions, what happened, Jacob? They stopped playing.
The Lions offense is more of a complete unit right now because they have a really strong run game. And I know Tampa's run defense is good too, but all they need is David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs to do a little, and that'll open things up for Jared Goff.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I can see why people would bet Boston at minus about 45, but I think the two of them are so exciting and so talented and so awesome. I went with and made the bet of the over 6.5.
There are issues with football character. Always doing the right thing, being in the right spot, being highly coachable. Why do they continue to fail in the big moments? It's football character, Ferrall. It's not a talent issue. That has nothing to do with it.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I have
decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
In the bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We
for
did.
patience, didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, for all the finish time. In Australia, the second most venomous snake in the country was found in some little kid's dresser. Like, did you see him open up the dresser and see this gigantic snake in his dresser? Like, just seeing it on video creeped me out. I started sweating. I want no part. Venomous snakes. Construction worker shoots a nail into his brain, through his eyeball, and kept his sight. That is strong. Delaware daycare owner busted for trafficking drugs out of the kiddie business. Little daycare worker selling crack. Escort stabbed her mom to death on Facebook Live. Like a hooker stabbing her mother to death on live TV. That is just unbelievable. Ohio woman accused of abuse of a corpse after a home missy had a miscarriage and then abused the corpse. What is going on there, Carver High? Incest monster who had 7 kids with daughter kept locked up for 24 years. They're going to release this guy from jail. Whose bright idea is that to let this guy out? It's like letting Wilson Fisk out of the hammer. Thief steals more than $39,000 worth of items from Target stores across Southern Cali. A serial shoplifter, Carver High, man, robbing Target stores of everything, underwear, you name it. The University of Wisconsin chancellor fired for making porn videos, lost all of his friends, but he stands behind the videos. Stand up for yourself, my man. You're Peter North. Don't take any flack from your neighbors or anyone in the community. You did your thing. You made some money. Everybody's happy you lost your career. I stand with you. What a horrible human being, Carver High. Unbelievable. GTE is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com for everything else. I'm off Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll see you Thursday, Friday. And then I'm doing that big game this weekend, that AFC title game with Valencia. Let's go!